Well, hello, everyone. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind. He's Billy Liucci. I am David Nuno, and we're celebrating, we're talking about a lot of stuff, but A&M basketball. What a nice victory over LSU this past weekend, Billy. We talked about it with Buzz, but it was nice to see it and see that defense and finish at the rim.
Oh, always good to beat LSU in anything. The most smack-talkingest fan base I think that A&M has to deal with.
More than Texas?
Yeah, I think they're the worst. Arrogant. Kind of think they're better than A&M, and which is weird to me because they have been in football. But here's what I love: Jim Schlossnagle goes into Baton Rouge, A&M wins 2 out of 3, wins the series. A&M football gets LSU coming in here with their number 5 ranking, thinking they're going to have a playoff shot. A&M smacks them all over Kyle Field. They come in here the first year coaching basketball, think they should be ranked. They walk in. A&M's lost 10 times in a row to LSU in hoops, which was shocking.
Shocking number, yeah.
To me. I guess the last time they beat them was when they humiliated Ben Simmons and LSU just quit in the SEC tournament. The Aggies beat them by like 40 with Caruso and House and all them. Smack them around at Reed Arena, control the game wire to wire. They've now won consecutively baseball, football, basketball. I guess we get ready for the showdown at the PMAC, as they call it, in Baton Rouge later this year, and we get ready for the
Missouri,
the baseball series, which is going to be a big one. Speaking of big ones, Missouri, big time game. You look at that schedule. If they can get that one at home, you start to see the potential for a really interesting start for Buzz and this group in SEC play.
Absolutely. So we talked about that. We had Buzz on the program. He was great as always, chatted with him. We had Tom Hart talking all things SEC and that national championship game obviously coming up. And Billy Liucci, this guy right here, was on the show. We talked about the weekend that it was, and it was kind of quiet from a transfer standpoint, but he kind of explained that and much more. It's TexAgs Rewind.
And in this game, I think the longest they ever went, and I may be off on this for a second or two, was like 3 minutes, maybe less than 3 minutes, like 2 minutes and 50 seconds, man. They might have gone without scoring once. So every time LSU threatened to kind of break out and maybe start to make a move, A&M answered. It was as close to a complete game as they've ever. It may be the most complete game they played all year.
So this is one of the things that I said on Friday. Look, the way the non-conference went, obviously I have my doubts of how the entire season is going to go from an NCAA tournament perspective. But the thing that if this team gets production from Julius Marble and Dennis Dixon, then why not? And that's exactly what they got this past game. Julius Marble.
Back-to-back 17-point outings.
That guy gives you a different element, different way of hooping that we haven't seen in a while here. And he was huge. Dixon, who had been struggling, he came out and hit his first couple of shots. Defensively, he always affects the game. You get offensive production from those guys along with what you expect from the Boots Radfords of the world, the Wade Taylors. Why not win a bunch of games that maybe some people wouldn't think you'd win?
Well, if they can continue to play defense the way they're playing, and I think they will, and continue to get some balanced scoring and avoid those prolonged scoring droughts, then LSU's a team. I know Kentucky's just not a vintage Kentucky team, but LSU almost beat Kentucky.
Right.
Florida just beat Georgia after A&M had beaten Florida on the road. So I'm not ready to say that, look, this A&M team is going to go out and beat Alabama and beat Tennessee. But you know what? They only have to play both of those teams once, and they're both here.
Yeah. 5 days ago, A&M, I guess, shocked people when they hired Bobby Buchanan as their offensive coordinator. Now that we've had some time, I'm kind of okay with it. I think it can certainly work. Tom, what do you think about the partnership there and how the offense could look?
Well, it's certainly unique, right? And nobody questions Petrino's offensive bona fides. There's what he does and what he's been able to do because he's been a diverse offensive coordinator. He's been malleable to the talent that he has, and that is the secret to success in college football. And by the way, that rigidity probably is the number one complaint and criticism of what Jimbo has been, especially lately, especially from the quarterback position. And I think all of that is fair. It checks one giant box that I hadn't really given much thought how a guy like Petrino would fit into it, but in hindsight, it makes sense, is you need a very strong personality to match Jimbo's strong personality, and to take the job and to accept it. There's an agreement that says, this is what I will do, and I will be in control. And I think we saw at Auburn under Gus, when he would hire guys to run the offense, but then when things got difficult, he would then intrude on those offensive game plans, and he would then flex his muscles. I don't think that this happens, right? I think the idea for this to work is that it is Petrino's and Petrino's only going forward, and he takes full ownership of it. I did talk with an SEC head coach who said, the most entertaining aspect of the upcoming SEC football season would be watching Petrino and Durkin go head to head in practice every day when they go good versus good, because you have very strong personalities butting heads. And by the way, it was said in jest, like, oh, what a circus that could be. In reality, that's what makes teams better. Iron sharpens iron. Offense versus defense, let's each side get better and go out there and compete.
We just finished shooting with Buzz, and that kind of helps me with some of the stats that we take while we're doing our skill work. And I was telling him in between sessions with guys, I said, he may end up being my most favorite player that I've ever been around in regards to how he bends the game towards us, whether he makes a shot or doesn't. Like, I think he was 0 of 8 or 1 of 8 at Florida, and we still can't take him off the floor. And yes, he did shoot the ball well and had some great finishes at the rim on Saturday. But what you said, Liucci, is spot on. And I think, in truth, a little bit with Mo, a little bit with Julius, I'm learning that in real time and being reminded of Dexter's impact without the ball. Mm-hmm. And a byproduct of that is I'm trying to explain that more and more in different ways, in different clips with our team, but specifically with Ju and Mo before he got hurt, because it's hard to take Dexter off the floor. Yep. And he's at the front of the press. He's guarding their best player. Even when we played Northwestern State, like everything was ISO, and they're doing everything they can to get the matchup that they wanted. And Dexter's like, no, I'm just going to stay right here, because whoever ends up at the top, that's who's going to shoot it. So I'll just stay right here. And, man, he just plays so hard and makes such an impact on both ends. He puts pressure on the rim, on the glass offensively. He puts pressure on the rim off the bounce. And then defensively, I was telling the radio guys after the game, Luke's like, he's the best listener I've ever coached as a head coach.
Potentially popping, or how are things looking for our Aggies in the transfer portal right now?
Well, they didn't have anybody come in this weekend, so I found that interesting, because now that visit window has closed. That does not mean they're not going to bring anybody in via transfer. If they don't, it's an abject failure. And I think, I'm not going to go there and get it's just because I do think they're going to add people. So I think the thought that they didn't bring anybody in, how that would mean that they're not getting anyone. But I do think, I look at what LSU did this week, and they added like multiple more corners. A&M has a real need at corner. LSU had already added, Denver, who obviously A&M had parted ways with, so can't really say, the Aggies should have got him, obviously. But they added a freshman All-American from Syracuse at corner. They added a guy from Ohio State who was a highly regarded recruit. And I think another guy. I think they're at like 4 now, portal corners minimum. And that, to me, that's what A&M needs, and they're sitting at 1.5 with Grimes and McCall, who's kind of a swing guy. So I am sitting there going, they definitely need another DB at a minimum. They brought 2 in. One has since committed to Arkansas. You wonder what happened there. Now, he's a safety. I wasn't that worried about it, but you brought him in. You would have taken him, and now he's a division rival the division rival that's not got really anything going for them. And then they brought in Jalen Catalon, and I think that one's going to come down to the Aggies and Longhorns. And to be honest, I haven't studied Texas' safety situation. But I think they need at least one more corner, if not two more. I don't start listing names to me. Oh, we're fine at corner because we got this. No, like I need
proven
guys that have played football, guys that have stayed healthy. You don't have many of those. You might have two of them right now. And I'm not exaggerating. You might have two of them right now. Chappelle and Grimes. So I think they need at least two more corners.
Yep.
I don't say at least. I'd say that's my number. They need two more proven corners.
Linebacker?
A linebacker, absolutely. You have to. And then a wide receiver for sure, especially if Anias doesn't return. And I still think that one's on the fence. I go back and forth on that one. If you're asking me today, I'm sitting here going, that trip to Alabama, probably getting the knee looked at, and the ankle, lower leg, and then seeing him out on his Instagram, out on the field, running around, like, because I think deep down, his mental clock is there to go.
Right.
But if, let's say you lose him, at least one receiver, if not two. That's from now. If you wait till after spring, then you're looking at grad transfers in a completely diluted pool. If they're not in the portal by May, they can't even go. Like, I think you're really playing with fire then.
All right, Bill, your last chance to talk about the national championship game on tonight. Sorry, not tonight. Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, I'm first and foremost, we need to be thinking about Dan Campbell's nose right now. After that game last night, it was extremely red by the end of that Lions victory, almost frostbitten. Looked like he was out like the top of Everest or something. As far as the game goes, I think red is the theme of the day. I think Georgia wins, but I think Georgia wins a very close game. I think it's going to be a great game up and down. We talk about, that Georgia defense is very physical. They got question marks in the secondary. They give up big plays. TCU's defense, good. They gave up. Michigan showed you could hit them with big plays. I think this one ends up being more of a Big 12-looking shootout than an SEC defensive struggle, which plays to the favor of TCU. I think Georgia wins it close, though.
I think Georgia's
bet TCU and take TCU in the points.
I'm saying I think Georgia's going to be up 10-17 throughout and then get another late touchdown and win by 20-plus points.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think. All right, by the way, like, comment, subscribe. Do that for me. Thanks.